Hello there and welcome to the WP Builds news. This newsletter is number 17 and it features the week commencing the 11th of June 2018 and it was released on the 18th of June 2018. Just a couple of things to say. Firstly, if you head over to wpbuilds.com/deals, you can find the latest deals that we've got on our website. There's only a couple at the moment, but if you're into getting a few pennies off your products and plugins, it might be worth checking out. And the other one is to go over to wpbuilds.com/subscribe, where you can find all the links to subscribe to the various channels that we have. Okie dokie, let's get stuck into it. First of all, we are on vip.wordpress.com, and this one is entitled Jumpstart Your Testing with Transition Plans with Gutenberg Ramp. And there's a new product called Gutenberg Ramp, which has been released, and the idea is that it's going to gently bring you into the Gutenberg world. I think we all fear that in WordPress 5.0 it's going to be just simply switched on. Well, the idea of Gutenberg Ramp is that you can switch it on to, for example, individual posts or pages or post types or categories or that kind of thing, so that you can basically have a play on your existing WordPress site and see what Gutenberg does to it, so it doesn't have to affect everything all at once. It's a great idea, certainly worth checking out. The next one, we have a couple of, probably going back about 10 months now, we had Nathan Tyler and Natalie McLeese on talking about their appointments plugin that they've been creating. Well, this week they won the 2018 Orange County Plugin Appalooza with their fabulous plugin called Plugin Detective. Now, I had a watch of their video, and the idea is that when you've got a problem with a particular plugin, you do the normal thing, you turn all your plugins off and you switch them on one at a time and you figure out which plugin is causing the problem. Well, they've got a really different approach to it, and it's kind of like split testing. Their plugin switches off half the plugins and sees if it still exists, and if it doesn't, you know it's in the other half, and then it switches off half of that half, so a quarter of them, until eventually it figures out what the problem is. It's really ingenious and certainly worth checking out, and I found out about this from the WP Tavern website this week. Brilliant, well done you two. The next one is from the Elegant Themes website, and it's an introduction to the WordPress Trusted Authors program. Now, we've mentioned this in the past. The theme repository for WordPress is just gigantic, and the people who are tasked with vetting whether a theme complies with all the guidelines are basically snowed under. So we've now got this new process called the Trusted Authors Program, and it outlines why this ought to be happening and how you can get involved in that. The intention being that if over a period of time you produce themes which consistently meet all of the guidelines, you get lumped into this trusted author category, and thereby meaning that in the future your road is far more smooth, because you don't have to go through all the waiting and queuing and then re-waiting if you've had some problem that needs resubmitting. So anyway, it's a great article. It just sort of sums up what's going on with that at the moment. Now then, this is for you Drupal people out there as well as WordPress people. A little while ago I stopped using Drupal, but one of the things that I absolutely regretted not having was a Drupal module called Views. Well, this week I came across, courtesy of somebody in our Facebook group, Query Wrangler. It's on the wordpress.org repo, /plugins/query-wrangler with a W. And it's just basically the Drupal Views UI done for WordPress. Now, it looks like it's a slimmed down version of it. And I've actually reached out to the developer, so hopefully we'll have him on the podcast. But I had to mention it because I'm so passionate about Drupal Views and how wonderful it is. Just thought, oh yes, finally I found something that might do exactly what it does. I haven't really played with it yet, but I just wanted to mention it. That's all there is to it. The next one is from Tom McFarlane, and this article, I'm not going to dwell on it too much. It's very brief, but basically saying that he doesn't really have out in the public domain a set of guidelines for how he thinks for the tools people ought to have to be developers and the processes and so on. So he's basically starting himself out on a program whereby he's going to reveal all of those things, and I rate his stuff very, very highly. So over the coming weeks, if you maybe subscribe to his RSS feed or something like that, you're going to be finding out about the business of programming, object-oriented programming in WordPress, WordPress development environments, and so on, unit testing and all of that. But I just thought it was a nice idea. He's actually going to outline his process and tools, which you don't often hear about. Normally you just see the code, don't you? But anyway, that's a good one. The next one is all about GDPR compliant form builders, and obviously we're a little bit into GDPR now, but it's an interesting thing. You know, we need to keep abreast of all this, and this article on Themecraft with a K.com outlines what some of the form builder plugins have been doing, and really interesting stuff it is too. For example, WP Forms have basically got a few checkboxes, and you've got a GDPR agreement block that you can drag into their forms, and you can disable the storing of IP addresses and user agents by just ticking a box. I think they've probably got the best idea. And then Gravity Forms, you can do the same thing, but you've got to add a little line of code, a filter basically. Ninja Forms have got something similar, but it's quite interesting. If you're into GDPR and all that kind of stuff, it's good to know where these plugins are at the moment, depending on which one you're using. Okay, the next one is over at WP Mayor, and he's just highlighting the fact that the EDD, Easy Digital Downloads plugin, is about to go through a major overhaul. Most of it apparently is under the hood, so you don't really notice it. But it's going to be, you know, an awful lot of recoding has happened so that things can be very, very different in the future. A lot of things had to be retooled and so on, and they're looking for beta testers at the moment. So if you use Easy Digital Downloads, which I know an awful lot of you do, then certainly just watch out for, you know, great developments coming up in the next few months. Okay, this week we had Matt Mullenweg, who was giving the State of the Word address keynote speech at WordCamp in Europe, which I believe is the biggest WordCamp in the world. He touched on Core, how there have been 6 releases, talked about the REST API and the fact that the mobile apps have been taking off in a huge way, although the numbers are still quite small, 1.3 million users or something along those lines. 1.3 million posts, I think it was actually. And then he spent the rest of the time talking about Gutenberg, and I think he made a lot of people feel quite happy. There's obviously an awful lot of work gone into it. And actually, if you were watching it live, you'll have seen Tammy Lister, who was on last week's podcast, stand up and add a little bit into that conversation. Anyway, if you're interested in the politics of WordPress and how things are being led from the top, then go and check out Matt's address, because it's certainly worth watching. Okay, the next one comes from iThemes. Now, iThemes Security Pro have just introduced a connection to the Have I Been Pwned API. And basically what this means is they've got a new feature which enables you to disallow people from selecting passwords which have been used in breaches before. So Have I Been Pwned keep a track of all the passwords that have ever been used in breaches. They amass all of that. And if you tick this box, you're going to be able to prevent people from using those passwords, which, you know, I don't suppose it's enormous security, but it represents a small amount of additional security. And frankly, any amount of additional security is probably a good thing. Anyway, there you go. Go explore that if you use iThemes Security Pro. Next one is from Flywheel. They're giving away about 30 ebooks in exchange for your email address. I honestly don't know of the quality of them, but there's an awful lot of stuff in there, so it might be worth checking out if you go over to the Flywheel website or click the link in the show notes. Go and check it out and get some of their, well, 30 I think in one big dollop. So yeah, great. The next one is the first one that's not particularly related to WordPress. This is a gigantic article on the Smashing Magazine website. I mean, truly huge. And it's writing from the perspective of, we're getting a bit boring with our web design. You know, everything's a bit formulaic, and there's always a header with a call to action, and there's always a block underneath that with an image and text on the right, and then a text on the left and an image underneath. In other words, he says if you go to 80-90% of the websites, the personality is gone, and he goes through great pains to express why he thinks this is a bit bland and why we're a bit guilty of it, and he highlights some good practice and some innovative things that have been happening. Caveat emptor, although it is an absolutely huge article, but if that kind of thing tweaks your interest, go for it. Now, this next one should be of interest to all of us. Again, it's not WordPress, but it should alert us. Squarespace have decided that they're going to launch an email marketing tool, a little bit like MailChimp. and it's going to be bundled into their Squarespace platform. Now, this, I think, is a very clever move on their part, because they're going to be able to combine their data from the email marketing directly into your website, so you can see, did the emails lead to conversions on a page? Did the did the particular call to action work effectively and drive in the funnel that you were trying to build? And did you get any sales off your e-commerce? They're trying to become an all-in-one platform, and this is just one piece of that. So obviously, if you're using WordPress, this is something that you need to be careful of, because it's another thing that a client can come and say to you, and you need to be armed with this kind of stuff. Okay, yeah, just watch out. But fascinating. Now, if we just go back to the Smashing Website article just for a moment, I'm going to talk about something I found on WP Shout. This is the rallying cry of the week. Make front end, I'm going to say it like this, I'm going to say make front ends hit again .party. And all it is a website full of utterly fantastically ridiculously horrible yet beautiful websites that look as though they've come out of a different era. It absolutely made me cry with laughter, some of them. Scroll to the bottom, click on the links. Can I particularly recommend Cat Bounce? And the other one was Corn Dog. Just go check it out. It might make you chuckle. And the very last one we've got today is Spanish soccer app caught using microphone and GPS to snoop. This is so clever. A Spanish app installed, I'm guessing, on Android phones, I guess it's unlikely to be on iOS devices, has been feeding back data about what it can hear. So it's been using the microphone to listen to see if there's football commentary on. And then it tries to work out, are you in a pub listening to this? And then it tries to work out, does this pub have a license? So it's not only is it using your audio, it's then combining that data with your geolocation data and trying to grass up pubs who haven't paid for a license to watch a football match over the World Cup period. I hope that they get thoroughly told off and booted out the Google Play Store, but yeah, certainly ingenious. So there you go. That rounds off the week, the weekly news. Please come and join us again on the podcast on Thursday, but I seriously hope you have a lovely, lovely week. Bye-bye for now.